Urban Sweet Spot is saying black directors have said numerous times they don't get funding for their movies, and they have to put a white actor in the movies. White people can have all the films. White people can have a film all white. It's not the same. Okay, on this, what you're saying, Urban Sweet Spot, it is true. And I mean, in America and in Europe as well, France, I know it's the same thing. But then my question here is, what about the public? The public in there. The reason why a lot of people cannot do a movie, a lot of directors cannot do a black movie without putting a certain actor, unless it just goes to DVD and stuff, is because sometimes the public don't go see the movies. So we also have to start thinking that if we want our own movie, our own distribution, we also need our public to do the job. I had a very interesting conversation with a fashion designer that lives in New York. And so we were having this conversation about doing for us, by us, etc. And at a point, I point to him that all these artists that are saying black this, black that, they wear Italian brands that all belong to LVMH, Gucci, Chanel, etc., Balenciaga, whatever. What about Alpha D? What about all these African designers? Whenever we have our own stars that explode, they're not wearing Shada wear, black owned. No. They go and they buy Balenciaga. So I'm not going to say that everything is our fault, but our own people don't fund. They don't put the selling pressure on for our creators. When you do a black movie, and I have some friends that did black movies. I knew a guy who did so he was in France. So he did a movie called I'm tired today, my memory is failing me. But so he did this movie about, so in the scenario of his movie, right? It's Europe that is Europe is poor. Europe, like economic crisis after economic crisis, Europe became super poor. And the continent that is rich now is Africa. And Africa is now one country called the United States of Africa or something like that. Or the African Union is now a whole country. The whole continent of Africa is just one country. And the movie starts with a lot of white people in France. And so you see Paris, Paris looking like a poor city. And you have a long list of white people, that are French people, white, that are trying to get a visa to go to Africa so they can get a better future. And so this guy arrived, and so a guy from the African guy said, yeah, what are your, I see your competence, you are, wow, you have like a bac plus 5, you are like on that level of education. Well, and, what about your wife? Yeah, I used to be a big teacher, Oh, yeah, interesting, okay. Listen, we have a job for you to clean a house as a maid. What? But we are, I said, that's what we have, you want it or not. And in the end, they don't get their visa. And so they have some people come to see them at the exit of the embassy where they're crying about their future, and that he's telling them, yeah, we can take a boat, and from that boat we can have you reach the shores of Africa as a with a little pirate boat. So they decide to go to Africa without without a visa. So they arrive at the shore, and then other migrants are being shot on by the African army, and a lot of people are being taken, and they end up being taken by an African person that is for immigration, that is really like trying to save them, give them a job, and tell them, listen, lay low, I'm gonna try to find a way to get you papers, authorization to get here because I'm part of the government. And so then you see that person in the government, in the big assembly, the parliament, having a debate with the far right in Africa, and the far right doesn't want no white people to come to Africa. And the left in Africa is saying, nah, listen, we need their education, we need their people. And the far right, now we have our own people. Our people should be that. And so it's like the situation of Europe, but turned into Africa. Listen, the movie is a great movie. Not a lot of funding, so you can see that it's not a Hollywood super production, but it's a cool movie to watch. And when I met the guy, the first thing he had was half of the cinemas in Paris and in France didn't want to play his movie because of the subject. And he was like, yo, it's just a fiction. No. Half of the movie didn't want to play his movie. So he decided to go directly to DVD. And what he was complaining to me about was that our own people were not buying the DVDs. Promotion, everything, and everybody was like, cute. I bought the DVD. I was like, yo, listen, for what it's worth, here's my 20 euros, and I got the DVD, and I watched the movie. I liked it. And it's this thing here now is like, either you want to be part of a market that already exists, and of course you have to be represented in that market, and at the same time, when you make a movie, you need your people to come en masse to see it, the same way they all went to see Black Panther. My question is, and I said it before when Black Panther came out, if Black Panther was a movie, the exact same movie, but made in Nigeria, or made in Congo, or made in Sudan, would have us, if it was not a Marvel movie, would we all be as excited as we were? Because finally, Marvel, Black movie, etc. And would we have supported that movie the way we did, generating more than $1 billion to Disney, if we knew that all this money was going to Nollywood or to an African corporation? The same movie, exactly the same, but if all the actors were African. We also have to ask ourselves these honest questions. And I believe that no, sometimes we don't support our own. I had the same conversation about Zouk, where everybody's complaining that everybody's using Zouk. But then I say, yes, but the proper West Indians themselves are the first to pirate. And I produced most of the Zouk music from 2003 to 2006, 7. I was one of the biggest seller of Zouk music. And trust me, they were pirating our records like crazy. The same that are supposed to protect their own culture were the one killing their own culture. So I understand what you say, urban sweet spot, and I agree with you. But at the same time, our public doesn't want to go and support, when other communities, they will support. Even if it's a bad movie, at least they will give you the money.